for him. This is what's going to happen. You got to be petty. So-called black, Hispanic, Native Americans. You got to keep the commandments. In Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Now let's go back to Isaiah chapter 19.
Talk about Deuteronomy.
Book Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And it reads, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight, every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." And this is happening now. We're in that time. You know, you have to walk wisely, use wisdom, especially around these devils. You have to know, you know,
Edomites.
you have to know what's going to happen before it comes to pass. You got to warn the people. Prepare your house. Prepare your children. Verse 3. And the spirit of Egypt shall fall, shall fail in the midst of wealth. Because the spirit of this land has already failed. You got the economy going up, going down. You got the this plan event. These things going on. Why? Because the Heavenly Father is breaking down the nation of Edom, which is Babylon the Great, which is spiritual mystery Babylon. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. I'll continue reading verse 3. And I will destroy the counsel thereof. So the spirit and the counsel of Egypt will fail. Why? Because that is the Heavenly Father's plan to exalt His name and His people, ultimately in Israel. So-called black, Hispanic, Native American. This is why we're here today, to warn the people what is going to come to pass. Verse 3, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards, and the Egyptians. I will give over to the hand of the cruel Lord. And we know who that is right now. You know, that is why these philosophies are being shattered by the truth. And this all started with the elders and apostles, the GMS. This is why we give them the double honor. You have these other camps. They're not giving the honor where honor is due. Respect is due. You have to know the prophecy. That's why you have to say it according to God.
They got a husband.
You got other camps saying they don't know the name of the Heavenly Father. That's poppycock.
Adam and Eve.
And you have to follow the doctrine of Yahweh Shai Shai, which is the elders and apostles of GMS. Now let's continue reading. And the Egyptians will I give over to the hand of the cruel Lord, and the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh. So we have, again, you know, the powers of the people, mostly of the so-called white man. You know, he has his people subjecting these other nations, starting in Babylon the Great, through their laws, through their
Contractual
systems,
questions.
through their give me 1 second, through their governance. Now you can read about that in the book of Daniel. See if I can get that precept.
You think like the Africans, like people in Africa, are they a part of the tribe too, or is it just us?
So people in Africa?
They're different. They're different.
Okay, you ask, are the people of Africa all of our tribes?
Like Nigeria and all.
Now when you say that, you got to understand, Noah had 3 sons. We all come from Africa. We're not telling you that's not the truth. But Africa is the name that so-called white man gave the Africans. So we know Africa today as the land of Ham. In the book of Genesis, that was called the Garden of Eden, which is that place which is Africa now, in the east.
So it's a part of the
12 tribes. So let me get to it. But I want to explain. You know, Africa is the where everything started. But ultimately that's in the east. But the point is, Africa was called Eden, which is the Garden of Eden. Which Eden in the Hebrew just means joy. So the whole earth was called Eden. It wasn't just Africa. It wasn't just all of the East or certain areas. The whole land, when the Heavenly Father made the heavens and the earth, He called Eden the whole land of the East. Now we all come from the East, brother. We're not from this land. We're actually strangers in this land. You know.
So
And he's
Judah is a part of
damn stranger,
African Americans.
too. So-called Caucasian man. He's a stranger. In the deep. But we all ultimately come from the East. Or you ask the question, are we from the tribes of Africa? Well, you got to understand, there are different tribes. After the deluge, which is called the flood, they were 3 sons, which all the other philosophies and all the other people will tell you that same narrative.
Look, you might
know
be
about
considered a
the flood.
heathen.
That actually happened.
You're not a
Now
heathen?
the point is,
He ain't talking to me.
the point is, look, the tribes of the earth, right? So we're from the East. I established that. Africa, what you call Africa, is all of the East. There's no Middle East. There's no Middle North, Middle South. There's just the East. We all come from the East, where the sun rises, where everything started, right? So this is what the Bible tells us, and this is what our teachers taught us. Now, do we come from the tribes of Africa? Now, that is true. We actually do come from the tribes of Africa, but you got to understand, we all come from Africa, which was Eden, which was the land that the Heavenly Father, when He made man, He placed man upon that land, which is the dark races. And we agree that, even the scholars of today, they will agree that Noah, after the flood, had 3 sons, Shem,
African Americans, we're Judah.
Ham, and Japheth. Yeah, African Americans.
So is Africa, are they a part of Judah also?
I want to say, before we go any further, you say, is African Americans part of Judah? Now, you can't say all African Americans are part of Judah, just like you can't say all Chinese men are Chinese. That's not biblically responsible. But we can say that there are some of the tribes of Judah, the majority, which were brought on slave ships. They were sold by those of the Edomites and the Hamites, which are the Africans. Biblically, those are the sons of Ham.
So they're the Hamites.
That is a no. Now the point is, African Americans that come here to their land through the slave trade, there are some Hamites that came with them. But the majority were those that had fled into Egypt after the persecution of the Romans. Now that is in the year. Started with the Greeks in 300 BC. Now you have it right here. The various captivities of the Israelites here on the chart. So we trace everything biblically, starting from Egypt, which is the land. This is in Africa, which is Egypt. That's Greek. Really, the land was called, the land was called Israel. That is in the Hebrew. But the point here is, the Israelites were in captivity in this land, 500 BC. But during the time of the Romans, when we fled after the persecution and after the land of Jerusalem was destroyed, we fled into Egypt, into Africa, and into those lands, Egypt and all those things. So we are, when you say, are all African Americans the tribes? They're not all the tribes, because you have to remember, when the Israelites went to those lands, they mingled amongst the people. So that is the whole point. And it even says that in the book of Revelation. Now let me just bring that out for you, just to get the proper understanding. And this is all according to prophecy, archaeology. You look at archaeology, you look at prophecy, they will tell you the same thing, brother. But this is why the Bible, we have to study why we have to study the Bible even from the beginning is so we get the right understanding. Because you see, if you were to just read it just plainly without knowing that, especially the book of Genesis was used as a similitude and was not literal, you have that, without that discernment, you're going to think that there was an actual garden, one man was placed there.
I understand that, yeah.
Woman. And I know you do. You know, you came on, you said shalom, and forgive me, brother, if I didn't say shalom back.
I understand what you're doing.
But I was, trying to edify the people. So, shalom to you. Peace to you, brother. Now, the point is, the tribes, mainly those that were left in Jerusalem after 70 AD, when the Romans had destroyed the temple, and they had fled into Africa. Now, the Heavenly Father had gave that revelation to John in the book of Revelation. And they read it for you. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, and verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So that is a representation of the whole tribe of the nation of Israel, which they are the so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Americans today. Now, I can't say that it's all Hispanics, all Native Americans, but you have to understand.
People mix.
In Deuteronomy chapter 28, the Heavenly Father said that He would scatter the remaining tribes into all lands of the earth. Now that is the remnant. That is not the majority. The majority are here in this land. Whether you think you are an actual African, or which is a Hamite, or whether you think you're African American. See?
I know African American, so-called African American, we were here first. A lot of us were here first.
That's what I'm saying. Don't be deceived. And don't think, just because you look for it, you go for it, or anything, we don't go by that. We go by the Spirit. The Heavenly Father put the Spirit in our people, to search the understanding. And we've always been spiritual people. Not all people are like that. They're just like, you can't say all Hispanics are spiritual. There are some that just, like to
Barbaric.
go and go to the club or whatever, just like regular people. And they don't give a damn about anything. So this is how you know that not even all Hispanics are Israelites. You have to try the Spirit by the Spirit. But the point here is, so the woman represents the nation of Israel. The 12 crowns, the crown with the 12 stars, that's the 12 tribes. Well, you got to remember, during this time, there was only 3 tribes left in the land. Which it says in verse 2, and she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. Now this is the ancient Roman Empire. This is why you have the same customs that are perpetrated today that were perpetrated in the ancient Roman Empire. This is why you have 2 branches. You have the government. You have those that make the laws. You have those that approve the laws. That's a representation of the beast. And verse 3, and his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, or to devour her child as soon as it was born. So that happened when Jesus Christ, who they called Jesus Christ, was born. And they were attempting to kill him, Herod the Great. And his name is Yahushua Mashiach.
Joshua.
Or Yahshua, some people say Yahshua, but we know it as Yahushua Mashiach. That is the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. The Yahshua is a Germanic transliteration of who you would call Yeshua. His name is Yahushua. But again, that's not the main contention here. The main thing is I want to show you what was said in the book of Revelation as pertaining to those that fled into Egypt. Because it's always good to ask a question. I have no problem answering certain questions. If it's for edifying, if I can build with you, we can build, we can do it, in order. You came up respectfully, you said, shalom. And this is what we're out here for. We're here to build with the people and to ultimately edify. We're not just out here, just to come out, to say, fuck the white man. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the point is, whether you agree, fuck the white man, whether you agree with that or not, the point is,
At this point, it's not
Bible
even
is-
debatable at this point.
Exactly.
What's going on?
what I'm saying is, whether you agree with that or not, you can't deny that the Bible is a book of divination, the Bible is a book of prophecy, and it's true.
The
And it has-
Edomites, they already talked about what they were doing.
Exactly, and it
The
has
red
wisdom.
man.
Exactly. So, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 4. And his tail, the third part, the stars of heaven, and it did cast them to the earth, ready to be delivered. So the third part of the stars, that's a third of the 12 tribes of Israel. You had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi still in that land. So-called African Americans, the West Indians, and the Haitians. Because during the slave trade, they were sent to these lands and put under subjection. They say that's where the most rebellious slaves were sent. These are the strongest of the brothers of our nation, and the smartest, and you guys know that.
No,
Who
they follow everything. I
Who
understand.
created everything? Who made all these inventions? The black
Exactly.
man. The white man just took it and ran with it.
Right.
You see?
Hey,
Now, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And their child was called up unto God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed there 1,260 days. So the woman fled into the wilderness, which is a representation of Africa. Now that wilderness, and it also is a representation during the slave trade of America, because they were sent by the Heavenly Father to be fed and to be brought up to the Americans for a certain time until the truth of the Bible came out, which is during this time, starting with those that won west, the others apostle GMS. But the point here is that is the wilderness, and it talks about the land of Africa over and over in the Bible.
so that's the wilderness.
That is biblically.
When we messed up, that's where we had to go back
Africa is a man-made name.
to. When I say Africa, I'm just.
I mean, I understand. What you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not.
I understand. But that is the Garden of Eden. That is the land of the east. But that it talks about it over and over in the Bible. Yet people will say, so-called white man wrote the Bible, but that's not biblically sound.
They modified it a little bit. They ain't write it.
Well, yeah, of course, because
King
reading the New
James.
Testament, you have things like Easter, depending
That's-
on the version you read. But that is
Easter, I don't-
through a
Christmas.
transliteration. See, what we do, we look at the manuscripts, so we know what things mean. And when it says Easter, and I believe the book of Luke, that actually means the Passover, which is part of the commandments that we have to keep. Well, let me read on. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought, and his angels. So ultimately, you heard of that, they're trying to reveal the UFO documents and all that. That's leading up to that. And you don't have to,
They're trying to say that they're trying to slowly reveal that God's coming back.
they know it. They know God is going to come back, and they know about the UFOs. Which are UFOs? You read all over the Bible. There's Bibles. There's many translations. It actually tells you a lot better what the UFOs are and what they're going to do. Like I read in Isaiah chapter 19 and 1. I'm not sure if you were here, brother. Forgive me, but
I'm here, I'm listening.
I could bring you out another one. What? This man, he knows the UFOs exist. And they do exist. And they're going to reveal all that. Because some may say, and we don't know, the prophesied part, we know a part, that the so-called white man, he might come out with that, Blue Beam, what is it called? Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam?
I'm not
Where they're going
familiar.
to create lights in the skies
Oh, yeah.
to make it look like there's an alien invasion. And But we don't know that. I mean, nobody really knows when it comes to that. But we know we have an idea of what's going to happen. And
The rapture.
that's throughout the whole Bible. The rapture is going up into the chariots. I'm going to give you an example. Now that you brought that up. This is Revelation chapter 10 verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. So that is a representation of an angelic being coming out of a ship, which they call a cloud. But these are UFOs. These are what you would call demons, or not demons, but spirits. People might call them spirits, demons, which that's not really. You're not gonna actually see a damn demon creep up on you and possess somebody. See, a lot of things we get a lot of things mixed up with sci-fi. Yeah, that's sci-fi. But there are actual entities that
So you said the
Yahweh,
UFOs are
which is God. They're entities. They're blazed with fire. It says in the book of Ezekiel, they're spirits of fire in the book of Psalms, which I'll show you in a minute. But that's what the UFOs are. And this man, he knows.
So they're not good. They're bad.
Well, I'm not gonna say they're good or bad, because look, you know, the Creator. We can't think like the Creator.
Right.
But we know that He has his they're called angels. You might call them angels. We call them the Elohim. Because, you know, those are called powers. That's Hebrew for powers. Allah means Hebrew. In Hebrew, that means power, or God. So the Creator, He has His messengers. They call them the angels. They're spirits, they're entities, which are, they also have spaceships, which people can't understand how it all works. But it says in Ezekiel that where the entity moves, the vehicle moves along where the entity moves. Wherever the entity is looking, he's moving in that direction. Okay. That's the representation of the entity and the what you would call a UFO, moving the UFO with its mind. So I'm gonna give you an example. And that's deep. I mean, people wouldn't really. You would read the Bible and you would think, you know, cloud.
I read the Bible, man. I haven't read it a lot recently, but I've read the Bible.
So I'm gonna read you another verse right here.
Need to get back into it. I feel like God, He knows my heart, man. Try to do right, man. But it's, you know what I mean? It's hard out here, man. Let me make sure this ain't my bus truck.
Book of Luke, chapter 9, and verse 28. And it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings, he took Peter and John and James and went up to a mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white, glistening. This is speaking on the transfiguration of who you call Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai, Mashiach. And this is going into the so-called UFOs appearing to him. In the form of spirit, in the form of entity. Verse 30, and behold, there come with him 2 men, which were Moses and Elias, who appeared in glory, spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep, and when they were awake, they saw his glory, and the 2 men that stood with him. So these are the entities of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. They appeared unto Yahushai, the disciple, when he was in the transfiguration. Verse 32. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep. When they were awake, they saw his glory, and the 2 men that stood with him. And it came to pass, as they departed from him, Peter said unto Yahushua, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, 1 for thee, and 1 for Moses, and 1 for Elias, not knowing what he said. While he thus spake, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. So these are the spirits, the Elohim, the angels of the Heavenly Father, entering into the cloud in front of James and Peter. Verse 35, there came a voice out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. So the Heavenly Father speaks to the agents of the Heavenly Father, which are the so-called UFOs. And there was an entity that spoke out of it. Verse 46, and when the voice was past, Yahushua was found alone, and they kept it close and told no man in those days, any of those things which they had seen. So we'll see what happens when these Hamites, they report about UFOs, whether it may be false or whether there will be some truth to the matters that he reveals. Because the so-called white man, he likes to mix truth with his lies, just like the so-called religions and false doctrines. But with that, I'd like to give honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and great ministers, who teach you well and taught us the truth. Until next time, Shalom, Ram Yasrael.